All right, everybody, Dr. Yang again. And this time we are going to just jump in feet first and start talking about statistical methods and analyses. And so we're going to start nice and slow by talking about our descriptive statistics, which give us information about who is in our sample and sort of what we are looking at. And then we will move on into inferential statistics, where we will start running tests on our data to begin to make sense of the meaning that is there. So a descriptive is a sort of univariate or one variable analysis, meaning we are looking at the individual cases and like a frequency distribution. And so a frequency is how often a variable is occurring. So this would be like if we were looking at our sample trying to understand the gender identity breakdown, and we could say we had 1,000 cases, and of those 1,000, 414 were cisgender female, 392 were cisgender male, and I've already lost the ability to do my math in my head, but the other folks either identified as trans or gender nonconforming or some other gender identity. And so that gives us a sense of how often these things are occurring. And it helps us to understand our sample or our data set, and it helps us to make sense of what is in our data. This type of evaluation works best with nominal and ordinal level data, but you certainly can do it because it's just really counting with other types of data, that's scaled data. This is also going to be part of data cleaning. We want to make sure that our data is normally distributed and that assumptions are met and things like that. But at the end of the day, it really is about helping us to get into the data and start making sense of what stories are there. Sometimes we have to consolidate or engage in data reduction. Maybe we have too many categories and there's not enough responses. Maybe we had something like 12 different race and ethnicity options for people to pick from because we were trying to be inclusive and exhaustive, but what we found is that in doing that, we created too many categories and we just don't have enough responses. So sometimes we can reduce the number of categories or the number of options available to us because it helps us to make sense of our data on the back end. We can also, at this point, start running our measures of central tendency. Things like our mean, median, and mode to get a sense of what are the ranges in our data, what are the numbers that appear most frequently, what are the averages. So we walk through this on our homework. Make sure you go check out those videos to get a sense of the click-by-click instructions for that. But that is kind of what descriptives mean. So when we're talking about the measures of central tendency, really what we are is we're looking at the mode, the mean, and the median. And so mode is just what number shows up most often. That helps you get a sense of the most common variable or presentation in your data. But sometimes we're going to look at the average as well. I'm not sure that these questions are right. I think these are just examples. I don't think this is specific to your homework. But like an average, right? Y'all know what an average is, but that works better with the interval and ratio level data. You could take an average of ordinal or nominal data, but what's it going to tell you, right? So what if you ordered race on a scale of 1 to 6, with 1 being black, 2 being white, 3 being Latinx, 4 being Asian, so on, and you took an average, what is that really going to tell you? Nothing. So we want to stick with that scaled level data when we're focusing on the mean. But there's also a median, which is the middle value, the halfway point, that central line in your data. So this is sort of that first round of analysis that we are going to do. We're going to look at these frequencies, how often things are showing up. We are going to look at our measures of central tendency to get a good sense of our data. So here are some examples for you of how to calculate a mean and a median for my folks who need to go through and actually do the math. But really what I want you to understand is that SPSS has the power to do these analyses for us, and that this really helps to orient us to our data set. Hopefully this wasn't too bad of a jump into our analysis. I will see you again in part 3.